Hi, it's Molly and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about bronzer. So this video is going to focus more on application, and I am going to apply both a liquid and a powder bronzer so that you can see how both would go on. In the last video, we talked a lot about different blush formulas, and with bronzer, it's the same. There's cream, liquid, and powder. So I'm not going to go super in depth with that today, but I will link that blush video below so that if you want more information on formulas, you can go view it there. And if you are curious on some of my favorite formulas, I am going to go over my 6 favorite at the end, and it actually divided perfectly. It's 3 drugstore and affordable brands and 3 high-end brands. Before we get started, you can find me on Instagram at Girl Get Glamorous, Pinterest at Molly Gardner 1, and there's always more on the blog at Girl Get Glamorous. If you can take 1 second, please, and give this video a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. It really does help with YouTube. That's everything. So let's get started with application. Starting out with the liquid bronzer, and this is the e.l.f. stipple brush, the 105. I'm gonna put 2 drops to start on the back of my hand. Now with liquids, they can be a little bit runny, so start out with less, and then I'm gonna use my brush to move that around and grab a little bit of product. I'm going to start at my temple, and this is where my head comes out the most, right around here, about an inch or a half an inch from my hairline. So I'll start applying some product there, come down my face in the shape of the letter E at all the high points where the sun would hit. And then I'm gonna take this and start working it back into my hairline, and I'm going right over my hair. And unless you are a super baby blonde, this should work for you without really making your hair look different at all. And I'm just swirling this around now, and again back towards my ears and down my neck, pulling a little bit more off my hand to go down my neck. So you're pulling it back towards your hairline so that there's no gap between your skin and your hair. There's no white line. Liquids and creams always come before powders. You can do your contour either before or after bronzer. I typically would do it before, but I wanted to show you the liquid bronzer with nothing else on my skin. The forehead is kind of the only area where I double dip, if that makes sense. And the bronzer I start to apply here, which is the part of my forehead that comes out the most. And the contour I do kind of right above that. So here's where I did the bronzer, and then there's the contour. And then I'm just gonna use my finger to also blend that back towards my hairline. Now that all my creams and my liquids are on, I'm going to do a powder blush today, and then I will show you the powder bronzer. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit of one of my favorite colors, Jersey. And with blush on, let's go to the powder. If you have a second brush, you can grab that for bronzer, or you can just use the same one that you applied your blush with. So let's grab powder bronzer. This one is my favorite. I think you can tell because I hit pan on this, and hitting pan on a bronzer is like big time. I'm gonna talk more about specific formulas in a minute, but I wanna show you application first. So I'm going to get a little bit on this brush, and then again, we're gonna start right here where my forehead protrudes the most and start applying here. And with the powder bronzer, we're gonna just start sweeping it back into my hairline. And you can see how subtle it is, but how that really does warm up your skin. And so we'll go down in the shape of the letter E, and pulling it back. To me, the key to natural looking bronzer is having it really blended and one with your hairline. think about a natural tan and how a natural tan would not stop right at your hairline. It would probably stop a little bit back in your hairline because you're not going to get as much sun there, but you would have a little bit around your face where your hair meets your face. A trick that I recently learned from another makeup artist was once you get to this point and you don't have any other bronzer, you have no more powder really on your brush. You can see it's not perfectly clean, but there's no more powder coming off on my fingers. So at this point, you can sweep it under your eye just to tie the whole look together. I feel like bronzer is like blush. Once you get it down, it does go pretty quickly. So the key is placing it where your forehead protrudes the most, because this is where the sun would naturally hit you first, and then working it back into your hairline and then bringing it down your face in the shape of an E or the number 3. And you are hitting your forehead, and then you're hitting the top of your cheekbone in the area kind of right above blush but below highlight, if that makes sense. So your bristles are barely touching your skin, and you're going to come in here and then bring it down along your jawline, and always I bring it onto my neck. So let's do that again in real time so that you can see how fast it goes. I'll go over this side that I did the liquid on with a powder, and I'm going to use a different bronzer this time just so you can see all of them. This is my favorite drugstore bronzer. It's the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer that I feel like everyone's obsessed with, and this is shade Light. So again, I'll start here and pull it back into my hairline. And done. That was such a satisfying click. So it goes really quickly, and I feel like as long as you have the right shade, it's going to look really natural and not look like, wow, bronzer. If you do feel like it came out too heavy and it looks a little bit funny on your skin, you can always go over it with your beauty blender, and I'm just bouncing this off my skin. I'm not pressing it really hard. You can see that the sponge isn't like compressing that much. I'm just gently, without the sponge really compressing at all, bouncing it off the top of my skin. And it's done. Bronzer is really easy once you get that motion, and I really think that sweeping it into your hairline helps. So let's talk formulas, because we are living La Vida lucky. We have so many different formulas. I remember when I first started wearing makeup, I think I was like, it was between 14 and 16, and I just remember really struggling with bronzer. Like bronzer and self tanner, because everything was orange and it just came in medium. That was it. It was medium and everything was like orange tinted. Bronzers will come in a satin finish or a matte finish. Matte might be a good option for you if you are really oily, but I just tend to prefer satin because it looks to me like a natural tan. It moves and looks like skin. The first one I want to talk about is this Physicians Formula. This is the Butter Bronzer. It's their I think it's their best-selling product maybe of all time. It smells like heaven. It's got the perfect satin finish. It comes in light, medium, and deep. My next pick is from a company called Number 7, which is big, I feel like, in the UK and not as big in the US for some reason, but they are at Target. I think they might be at Ulta as well. I will check and put all this information below. So this is Golden Sand. There are 2 shades. I gave away the deeper one to a friend, so I can't remember how much deeper it was, but this is the lighter one, and this one is slightly more matte, but it doesn't come out too flat on my skin, which is what I like about it. And as you can see with this and the Physicians Formula, these are not that much deeper than my skin tone, which is what I like in a bronzer. I like it only 1 to 2 shades deeper, not super warm, but just a hint of warmth. Now, this is not actually technically a drugstore. I just found this to be a very affordable product. The full size is 0.51 ounces. This is just a sample that I purchased because I spend so much money on makeup and I need to try to buy samples in smaller sizes when I can to make sure I like things. What I love about this, you saw when this one was on the back of my hand, it was like just so beautiful and golden and a true tan. Not orange, not fake looking, and I just feel like it moves with my skin and it looks like real skin. So this color, and this is called Hot toddy. They only have one bronzer shade and it is surprisingly fair skin, light skin friendly. I have only used it on myself. I have not used it on any clients or friends that are medium to deep. So I don't really know. I can't give that recommendation right now, but I will say if you are in the same skin tone range as me, this hot toddy shade is beautiful and the formula is like bellissima. I was talking about how if you prefer a matte formula, this is the Too Faced. This is the milk chocolate. This is their lighter version. So if you like a matte bronzer, like maybe in the summer, if you are super oily, or in general, if you just have really oily skin, a matte bronzer might be for you. So out of my high-end favorites, Becca Cosmetics is my first one. They have, I want to say 6 different bronzer shades, which is unheard of. Like I've never even heard of a company having that many bronzer tones. Now this one is just from this Chrissy Teigen palette, which you can see is well loved in my home. So the bronzer gets a lot of use. I actually wish that it was one of the bigger pans, but it's really pretty. Now this is meant for more of a medium skin tone like Chrissy, but I still feel like it's really flattering, it's really sheer, and so it somehow still works on me. I have purchased the full size, but I put it in my makeup artist kit because it was so pretty and I was just trying to be generous and share it with all of my clients. And I purchased that one in a lighter shade and it's just stunning. All right, we're almost done. This is the Ghost palette from Hourglass. And this is another palette that I use all the time. Palettes are the way to go for speed. If you've got the need for speed, my friends. The Hourglass bronzer, I had not tried it before. I'd heard good things. These are all really sheer baked formulas. And even though this looks like it's gonna be so much darker, because it is sheer, when I go to put it on my skin, it just blends so beautifully. You can buy a full size of this, which you will probably have for the rest of your lifetime, or you can also buy the travel size, which is I think around the size of this, and it's still just, it's a ton of product. It's a lot of product. So anyhow, I just wanted to share. We've seen this one already, but this is the MAC Daddy of all bronzers. This is my Tom Ford bronzing powder in Gold Dust. As you can see, this is the one that I've hit pan on. It's so beautiful. It's sheer, it's golden, it has the perfect amount of satin without having glitter or glimmer in it, and it's just so incredible. Bronzers are kind of hard to swatch, and that's actually a good thing because to me, I don't want it to show up like bam. It's just like with blush, if there's too much pigment, I'm gonna spend all this time blending it out and I'm gonna end up looking muddy and ruddy. But if a formula starts out sheer and I can build, I like that. Those are my bronzers. I mean, this is giant. This one is 21 grams, which is huge. I feel like it's like the size of my whole cheek. It kind of is actually. So anyhow, this is a luxury. I mean, Tom Ford, if you have zero budget restraints and you just want a product that works, I highly recommend this Tom Ford bronzer because it's something else. That is it. That is all 6 plus a little bonus matte bronzer. This is my favorite method. This is the finished look. I love how natural it ends up looking, and that's everything. That's all, folks. Thank you. All right, I will see you in the next video. Okay. And I was about to make a terrible joke, like a dad joke. These prices. I sound like, what's that network where you buy things off TV? But wait, there's more.